Welcome to Tweener Madness, the high-stakes startup showdown where 4 promising startups go head-to-head for a $25,000 investment prize from the NC Tweener Fund. Each episode, founders from 2 companies will step up and pitch their vision to our selection committee. They'll be facing tough questions, defending their business, and making their case on why they deserve to move on to the championship round. With only 2 spots in the final, the pressure is on. This is the Fabulous 4, where only the sharpest startups survive. Now, here's your host, general partner of the NC Tweener Fund, Scott Wingo.
Welcome to the North Carolina Tweener Madness. We are now down to the Fabulous 4. No, not the judges. That's the founders we're talking about. Even though our judges are a different Fabulous 4. Let's meet our judges. First, making her first appearance as a venture capitalist, Carly Connell. She is a principal at Bull City Venture Partners. Welcome, Carly.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everyone. Carly Connell. I've been in the Triangle now for 5 years. I got my MBA at Keenan Flagler, and then from there, moved into Deloitte's emerging growth practice, selling financial services to venture-backed companies. And most recently, moved to Bull City Venture Partners, where I'm backing B2B software companies.
Awesome. How do you like being a VC so far?
So far, so good. I think we're almost at the 3-month mark.
It's all good until you have to tell that one idea you love no. So
we already had that letdown.
Okay, there you go. So now you're through the rough part. But then you get to tell some people yes, and that's the fun part.
Yeah. Fingers crossed that can happen soon.
Yeah. We get to tell people yes 15 times a quarter. It's designed to be a more...
You can feel good every day.
Yes. Yeah. Basically every other day we're like, yes, yes, yes. Up next, we have Zakia Alta Lee Hill. Number 1, she has the most names and words in her name. So congrats on that. And she is a principal at Idea Fund. And Zakia, you were a judge last year, so thanks for being back to Tweener Madness. We appreciate it. And this is exciting. You have started a new newsletter called Notes from Z, the VC. I highly recommend everyone, if you Google that, you'll find it and subscribe. I'm a big subscriber. What are you talking about on Z, the VC, Zakia?
Yeah, Scott, thanks. So first, just notice it's Z, like Zeke, right? So I went from having the most names to just 1 letter, pretty much. I wanted to make that easy for everyone so they wouldn't be confused. But no, I think sitting in this role as a venture capitalist, we have the opportunity to talk to so many companies and so many founders. And we see people go from, idea stage to, being acquired or, in some cases, IPO, but in the markets, please. And so essentially, we have like a really great perspective, I think, as VCs. And so in this newsletter, what I'm aiming to do is just take all of the key learnings over the years and what I've learned from, founders who are doing really cool things and put it in one place, right? And so just even, perspectives from an operating point of view, right? Things that have seemed to work for founders over the years. I want to share those things. And then of course, like from the VC lens, what are we looking for? What types of things make a successful, pitch or whatever. So all of those things as well. And so I really want to help founders navigate and make better decisions because I think at the end of the day, growing businesses, it comes down to a series of really making good decisions during crucial points. And so I want to help founders navigate that. And I'm doing that through the newsletter.
Awesome. And Greg Boone is the CEO of WalkWest. Greg, we did a big episode with you back in February of last year when you guys acquired the local podcast heroes, Earfluence. And shout out to both Earfluence and Greg and the team at WalkWest. This whole thing we're doing here with North Carolina Tweener Madness wouldn't be possible if it weren't for their generous help in helping us produce the show, which we greatly appreciate. Greg, it's been a year. How's that acquisition going?
It's going amazing, man. We're growing significantly. It's crucial to our overall kind of, not just our thesis, but our overall growth strategy. So it's been exciting times. And look, Tweener Madness is an exciting time for me. I'm a former college basketball player, D1 at Howard University before I transferred to North Carolina A&T. And I'm headed to Vegas tomorrow morning. So this is exciting time. So, happy to be here.
Awesome. And this will help Zakiya. So walk everyone through your framework. What is it? The 4 Ps? Do I have that right? Some number of Ps.
So we have our, when we talked last year, I talked about our 4P strategy, which is podcast, partnerships, PR, and publishing. And I try to get across. I speak a lot on the topic of AI. I have a book coming out later this year called AI at the Speed of Trust. I was in Bogota, Colombia last week speaking about AI. But I always tell folks the 4P strategy is how you can be seen, heard, and cited, CITED, by humans and machines alike for maximum results. So I'm helping people cut through the noise and gain visibility. And I think it's very relevant to the group today when you're starting something new and no one knows who you are, right? And so that's what we grounded on, and we've seen significant growth over the last year.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in your strategy. I have 2 podcasts, 2 Substacks. I'm kind of living it all. I've got the 8 Ps and or P 4P squared. I don't know where that falls in your mouth. And Zakiya can verify. She told me she was excited. She was starting her newsletter, and I said, "That's great, but you need to start a podcast." Didn't I say?
He did.
Yep. Yeah, you got the one. You're publishing. Now you need a couple more.
Okay,
Yep.
I got it. I'm on it.
All right. And shout out if you call Greg when you're ready to do a podcast.
I will.
You too, Carly. You should do a podcast.
Okay. Baby steps.
Okay, let's get into the contest. Based on feedback we got from the audience, the judges, and most importantly, the founders, we've made some changes this year to Tweener Madness. First, the biggest change is you'll notice we're calling it North Carolina Tweener Madness. That matches our fund, which is now, thanks to our partner at NC Idea, we are now the NC Tweener Fund powered by NC Idea. So the Tweener Madness is statewide this year. That's the biggest change. And then second, we found that having people come in for 4 days was a big ask when they're building companies. So we've gone virtual for the Elite 8 and the Fabulous 4, or the Exceptional 8, I should say, and the Fabulous 4. And then for the championship, it'll be in person. So what hasn't changed is the winner receives a $25,000 investment from NC Tweener Fund. And the way this is going to work is I'll introduce the companies, we'll watch a short pitch video from them, and then the founders will come on stage here for some questions. You guys get to grill them mercilessly. So let's go ahead and get started. The first matchup is 2 companies. One's called Utilist, and they are in the power tech, kind of maybe a little bit of green tech, I would say. So helping utilities manage their businesses. And the second one, Greg, is a AI company out of Charlotte. Utilist is from the Triangle, and I believe Ham is from Charlotte. And Greg, you're gonna love this. The Ham, we'll see. Everyone had a chance to update their video, but the Ham first pitch was all basketball related metaphors. So I think you'll relate. All right, producer Becca, let's roll the first one, which is Utilist.
Hi, I'm John Armin, founder and CEO of Utilyst, based in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a PhD engineer and a computer scientist with over 16 years of experience building data-driven and AI solution for water and energy infrastructure. Before founding Utilyst, I served as a director of data science in one of the largest engineering firms in the United States, and I led the development of more than 50 AI and analytics solutions for different utilities. I'm also a second-time founder and a licensed professional engineer focused on bringing practical AI solution and tools for critical infrastructure system. In the next couple of minutes, I will introduce our solution as Utilist platform. Hi, I'm John Armin, founder and CEO of Utilist, based in Raleigh. Critical infrastructure runs blind. That's why we are building cognitive digital twins for utility systems. I'm John Armin, founder and CEO with 16 years of experience in utilities and AI, and today I'm going to describe how we support operators on their day-to-day activities. Meet Dave. Dave is a utility operator. He has 32 years of experience running a treatment plant facility, and he's going to retire, and most of the time we don't have a good succession plan to capture his knowledge. In fact, in the next 5 years, more than 50% of experienced utility operators is going to retire, and with that, we are going to have a massive institutional knowledge loss. On average, training in new operators takes 1,000 hours, and the new operators, they're not going to sit down and read a thick paper manual. anymore. So we need definitely better solution to support the new operators. Most utilities also cannot immediately jump to cloud AI for operations because they are running on old system and there is a risk of cybersecurity. About 70% of utilities are prohibited because of cybersecurity mandates. So utilities can only see 20% of their infrastructure. The rest lives in Dave's memories. And that's why we are building our cognitive digital twin solutions that is running on premises, so it's designed to avoid all of those cybersecurity issues. It captures operational knowledge through small language models that is designed for each specific applications. It's AI-enabled training through virtual reality platform that is aware about different operational conditions. And also it has predictive maintenance AI modules that help operators to support their operations and be more proactive instead of reactive. So it doesn't just model the infrastructure, it understands it gradually. We have had great tractions in the first 90 days. We are working with DC Water right now on 2 contracts of 25K. We are expanding to Greater Cincinnati's under work for water quality and sensor data quality. And we are in discussion with many more utilities around the countries and have almost 500K pipeline of contract. And you can see some other momentums here that we listed. We are utility specialized and on-prem solution. That's why we are different from other solution provider. We are expanding from water utilities, which is our current focus, to electricity, oil and gas, and other industrial facilities, even on the private side, because they do need the same cognitive digital twins. The market size and expansion paths for water utilities to electrical utilities is described here, with the size of market to be around $9 billion. This is the team. We are the only team that lived this problem. I'm John Armin with utilities, AI, machine learning, and on-prem experience. My co-founder is Zohra Rusti with MBA, data analytics and finance experience, and we have Dr. Shi as our advisor with Edge AI and automation expert. We are raising $1 to $1.5 million to deploy, sell, and scale. Here you can see the user fund and our goal to expand to 8 utilities and reaching $1 million revenue milestone. You can scan this barcode to get connected with us. So in summary, Dave retired next year. However, with Utilist solution, the grid won't notice. Thank you.
That was the pitch. Let's bring John onto the stage. Hey, John, how are you today?
Hello, good morning. Great. How are you?
Doing great. Welcome back. Congrats on making it to the Fabulous Four. So that's itself an honor. And now when you walk around town, everyone's going to know who you are, and the paparazzi will show up and whatnot. So I'll pre-apologize for that. So we have a different set of judges. I don't know if you could hear in the green room, but we introduced them there. And Carly is the newest person to venture capital, so we're going to put her on the spot and see if she can ask a really smart question, being the first person and
Really smart
latest person. Carly, you have any questions for John about his business?
Yeah. So I loved how you started the pitch with a story and talked through the lens of the utility operator. And I mean, I honestly think you did an excellent job explaining the problem in really simple terms. And with 50% of the operators retiring, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Truthfully, I thought you did an incredible job. One thing that I'd be interested in seeing, if there's a way to fit in without taking a ton of time, is just how the sales cycle or the go-to-market approach, just because, when I think of the utilities, it's probably a slow sales cycle and a little slow to adopt technology. But the only reason I hesitate to say that is because I liked how simple the presentation is, so you don't want to get too in the weeds there either.
Yeah. So what is your go-to-market strategy, John?
So right now we are working with utilities on paid pilot first, and then expand to additional application with them. We also work with them with different organizations like Water Research Foundation. Right now we are actually submitting 2 proposals as well. So warm contact, paid pilot, and research project.
Gotcha. Zakia, any questions for John?
Yes, John, great job. And congrats on that early traction. I think I heard you say in 90 days, you have those new $25,000. Great. That's good. You're going out and getting business. That's fantastic. And if you don't mind, help me understand the pain point. Like, I understand the problem, how you explained it. Dave is retiring. 80% of the grid is in his memory. He's gone. We're not reading through thousands of pages. Help me understand what that translates to when Dave leaves and there's that shortage there. What does that translate to for the company or for the customer even? What will happen when he leaves and takes 80% of that knowledge with him?
Yes. So the operation is going to stop being efficient in general. Like that knowledge, when it's lost, the new operator is going to have try and error to figure out how different things are working, and it's going to create failure in the system. That's one thing that is going to happen. But what we do as well is to even bring Dave to the next level and avoid lots of manual thing that is happening right now. Although Dave is doing a great job, but there's still lots of manual thing is happening. So the new operators, they're not going to do those type of like reading operation manual, etc. So we kind of upgrade them as well. But if we just focus on the Dave retirement, it's just going to be inefficiency in operations. It's going to cost us. It's going to have issues like Flynn, for example, like the new operator, they don't understand the whole system, and it's going to kind of have public health issues and costs for general communities in terms of not having good water quality. That's for water side, but for electricity, you can have the same examples.
Awesome. Thank you.
Got it. Greg, any questions for John?
First comment. I mean, I think as Carly and Zakia said, I think first, thank you. I think it was a great presentation. I love the idea of digital twins and things in general from that standpoint. I was on the Shark Tank for EdTech last October up at Columbia University, and there was a similar type of solution for auto tech workers, where they were they were shortening the time to educate auto tech folks from multiple years down to just a few months. And what the problem they were trying to describe was how all of these folks were just going to go away, and there weren't going to be enough to backfill fast enough based on the expansion that we have to do.
Exactly.
Right. And so, yeah. So when I saw that initially, I was trying to scurry and try to find that similar example, one to give to you, because the other part that should be promising for you is they went to the finale of the EdTech as well, right? Because it was true value. Have you quantified as far as, other than your go-to-market, other than what Zakia was asking you about kind of the problem set, have you quantified this in a way that's easy for you to like have just top 3 metrics? Like, what are the top 3 metrics that you would use to define the value that you're providing?
Yes, it's the reduction of manual work by 50% in most of utility operators. It's reduction of training of those utilities from 1,000 hours to like 100 hours, like 90% reduction, but also avoiding lots of try and error because it's a simulated environment using virtual reality, and the knowledge of experienced operator is already captured there, so they can play and learn. So reduction of cost or those try and error costs as well by 90%. And then it depends to the case studies, like for DC water, they do vibration monitoring for their pump station and their energy facilities. So avoiding a failure on shutdown and like having people to boil their water in DC water, like those are, you cannot necessarily put a value on it, but it's like huge thing for them to not like having in their pipeline to ask.
I would argue that you put a value on it, right? Like if you can quantify the hours, figure out the that's proxy for dollars. And if you can showcase the dollars, right, especially to the audience here, right, then you're talking about significant value. So my only advice would just simply be convert the significant hours to some dollar metric that you could then showcase.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good stuff though.
Yeah, if you've ever used Instacart, at the end it has this little thing that says, so far on Instacart, you've saved like, 5,000 hours of shopping. And I'm always like, oh, I love Instacart. That's a 5,000 hours of shopping I didn't have to. I know it's a different analogy, but time saved is money earned.
That makes sense. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's do, we'll kind of do jump ball. Anyone else have another question for John?
I do.
Good, Zakia.
John, can you talk a little bit about what solutions currently are available, what people are kind of doing to fill this space, and then what do you believe your sustainable competitive advantage is in this space?
Sure, that's a good question. Yeah. So we do have cloud solution right now, like IBM, Xylem, and other. They do have cloud solution, and we do have on-prem solution to some extent as well. But they are very old-fashioned type of solution. They are not catching up with bringing a small language model, with bringing the new AI solution yet to the system. So what's differentiate us is that having the integration of like this whole ChatGPT in a form of a small language model in our solution, and also focusing on a specific pain point of that utility. So they may have like lots of things in this already kind of off-the-shelf solution, but it's not necessarily addressing what's that the specific utility operator is looking for. So they are not open to sit down and tailor their application towards what the utility operator is looking for. So our solution is flexible. It has modules for operators to design what they want to have, and then they can check with us to optimize it. So that's another differentiation. So it's kind of utility specialized and on-prem with a small language model in it. So I haven't seen any of these competitors that they have to integrate a successful small language model, and that's differentiated as well.
Cool. Greg or Carly, any questions? Good, Greg.
Yeah, I was just going to ask when you were talking about the small language model, and I don't know if I missed this. Are you fine-tuning some open source, or who owns the small language model?
So we use the United States developed model like Phi 3, Olama, etc. We avoid kind of other countries' language model because of this critical infrastructure. So we fine-tune it and we own it as well for that specific application.
And so you apply your own proprietary data to. No, I'm just saying that's high value. I would talk about that. That's very valuable.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly the differentiator that we have as a moat.
Yeah.
And then how long does it take to onboard a new customer? Like once you get in there to actually start training and be able to do the predictive maintenance?
So from 1 month to 3 months depends to the application. For DC Water, we have like 2 months onboarding. For Cincinnati, they are asking for 200 sensor data integration. So that takes a little bit more time to 3 months for onboarding.
Thank you.
Awesome. We're up against time. John, thanks for joining us today. Good luck. We'll be in touch here shortly.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bye.
All right, judges. Our next video is from Ham. Are you guys ready to go ham? Here we go.
You know how AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude can help developers write code? Well, it makes developers more productive, but it's costing enterprise businesses a lot. Hi, I'm Lou Croma, founder of Ham. We make coding agents cheaper and smarter for engineering teams who use them every day by cutting token usage by 50%. Imagine you're a player on Georgia Tech's basketball team. You're in the Final Four about to play Duke, and your coach tells you to watch every team's film this season just to figure out which clips are relevant for tomorrow's game. You know the answer by the end, but you had to watch every single game of the season for every team for one game tomorrow. That's what AI coding agents do. Before every task, they scan your entire project to find what's relevant. They usually get it right, but the scanning burns money every time. Across large teams, that's thousands of dollars a month just in the cost of figuring out where to look. Ham sits in between the developer's prompt and the AI model. Ham pulls the files that are relevant to the task, then remembers what happened during that session. Our customers are engineering leaders, CTOs who are already using AI coding agents and watching the bills climb. So where are we now? Our beta is live with active users and also available on GitHub, where we have around 30 plus stars. Developers are using it on their own projects and reporting real cost savings. But here's what matters most. Last week, I had a call with a developer from a media company in New Jersey. He tested Ham, saw the savings, and is now scheduling a demo to present to his engineering org on Wednesday. That is the exact motion we're building around. A developer finds Ham, uses it, and becomes the internal champion who brings it to their team. Our pricing tier is pretty straightforward. $9.99 for solo developers, $1,000 for small teams, and variable pricing on enterprise teams that have large engineering organizations. I've built AI infra at Twitter, run product strategy at healthcare insurance companies, and I have a master's in computer science and AI from Georgia Tech. I've built on the court and in the front office. I know what it costs to run these systems at scale, and I know what teams need to pay for it. I also build in public, which means I came into this with the audience already in the stands. With the use of the $25K from this program, we're going to put it directly into distribution, social media marketing with technical engineering influencers across LinkedIn, X, and Threads who can demonstrate real cost savings to their audiences, sponsoring developer events where we can integrate HAM into their workflows live. Every dollar goes towards getting HAM in front of developers who can prove and carry it into their organizations. If you're a developer bleeding money on AI tools or an investor who sees where the game is heading, let's connect. Thanks everybody for listening. You could go hard or you could go ham. Peace.
All right, let's get Lou on the stage. Welcome, the CEO and founder of HAM, Lou Chroma. Lou, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are y'all?
We're doing good. This one is catnip for our friend Greg, so I'm gonna let him go first. He's I can peer into Greg's head and I see 8,000 questions, and he's like, "Oh, how do I pick the top one?" All right, Greg. Sorry, you're gonna have to pick one. Go with it, bud.
All right, my first question to Lou is: did you reach out to anyone other than me since we were both Aggies? We both great.
I tried.
Okay. So he connected with me the other day. I was like, man, who's this dude? And what is HAM? And so I was already like looking at it. I love the charisma. I love the, before we were talking about this 4P strategy that I have on how you get out there, right? And so being out in front and doing the research ahead of time, right? To connect with folks, right? To be able to explain your messaging, right? So a lot of positives. I love the pull with the PLG motion of getting the developers. My questions are more because I do a lot of vibe coding. I do a lot of, things and the hidden costs that you're describing, right? And the inference costs and showing up. How do you protect from the large language models themselves not adding this capability into their tech?
Right. Because Anthropic and Codex or Gemini, they're not really incentivized to help you save money. For example, over the weekend, they released a 1 million token context window, and which essentially means that you can input a lot more into the model because they want you to spend more money, right? They're not going to create a feature that helps you save money because that's against their bottom line. So that's kind of it. And our approach is, they're just not incentivized to do that.
Yeah. And how long do you think it would take for someone to create a similar product?
That's a good question. And I think that like in this age, as long as somebody's able to wrap their mind around what you're doing, they can essentially copy it, right? So what I've been thinking about there is the algorithm itself that we use to create this agent memory. There's a professor at UNC Chapel Hill that focuses on creating these types of algorithms. I was thinking about reaching out to them and having them as a research partner so that as they develop new research for it, we have the state-of-the-art algorithm. And that way, somebody might be able to look at our product and create a similar idea, but it won't ever be the state-of-the-art.
Greg, I'm gonna have to cut you off. You snuck 14 questions in there. Carly, got any questions for Luke?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it's too early to see this, but also first off, great job, great energy. You hear a lot of pitches and that was really creative. And so it's just a great way to keep everyone engaged. But so once you get someone on board using that kind of solo $9.99 model, have you seen any data yet on how likely they are to then expand to others in the organization? Or do you usually see that as like one sale, go to the next one, keep going?
Right. This is what happened so far. So right now, the product is available on GitHub as a Claude skill. So Claude has released this kind of ecosystem of skills that you can give your agent, and then they can behave a certain way. I launched one. I kind of gave it to all my friends, and I started posting it on LinkedIn. An engineer from a company reached out, and they were like, hey, I want to use this. We set up a demo live. They're like, all right, he's like, my company does these show and tells every Wednesday. I want to show it to them on Wednesday. I'm like, okay, this is, exactly how I saw this happen. It's happening tomorrow. So I'll be able to have a proper use case by the end of this week.
That's awesome.
Cool. Zakia, got a question?
Yeah. So first, don't lead me out of the sports conversation. I spent 4 years in the NBA in Atlanta Hawks as a dancer. Okay. So it's not just Greg, right? Okay. Thank you, Lou. This was wonderful. Love your energy, right? That's so good. When you walk into a room to pitch with that type of energy, keep that. Because a lot of times we've seen a lot of pitches, and so it's really great to see that. Now, question for you. I understand that you're competing on cost. That's one of the ways you're competing, being a solution that, obviously calls them to spend less tokens. Can you tell me where else you have a competitive advantage? Where does that sustainable competitive advantage lie? How are you competing other than, of course, saying it's going to be a lot less expensive, which is great, but what else?
Yeah, I think something else that I'm thinking about is observability. And so on our team plan, when you're able to track how much money every engineer is costing you while they're writing code. So based on their prompt traces, you're like, okay, this engineer costs this amount of money. This engineer is using these models. They cost this amount of money. So I think that is potentially an advantage. It's something else that might be slightly far left. Please just stick with me. And it's around like geopolitical issues. So let's say, for example, and I don't wish this, but if China invades Taiwan, where most of the GPUs in the world are being produced, the cost of GPUs is going to increase. So the costs for API costs increase now. And I don't know if you guys have been following, but a lot of the data center projects have been being rolled back because of sustainability related issues, people locally saying we don't want these here, and rising energy costs. So if that geopolitical tension occurs, I think a lot of these data center projects will start asking companies, I need you to start tracking your carbon emissions. When you decrease your token usage, you're essentially decreasing your carbon footprint. So I think there's a world where we create regulatory moats where we're like, hey, if you're able to track your token usage, you're also able to track your carbon footprint per coding agent. And I think that is one of the only ways in the age of AI for people to stay competitive is to try to create policy around their products. But that could just be a stretch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Carly or Greg, any last questions?
None for me.
All right, Greg, you get the last word on this one.
Oh, you're gonna let me talk? All right. I don't know. I mean, I agree with what, some of the things that you're describing. I think the cost visibility, I would lean on that a lot more, right? The hidden costs that people are seeing after the fact is significant. So it's not less of a question. It's a lot less of a question. It's more of a comment. I would lean in more to what you're describing on the visibility into the costs. That's going to be a major issue for folks, and keep leading with your personality, man.
Right. Thanks.
To Greg's point, I was talking to a founder here, and they're kind of like Series A. So they've got like a engineering team, 10, 15 people, and their goal is for every engineer to have an agent running 24/7, like they keep it rolling. And so they're going to be paying probably on average $100K here in North Carolina for that developer, and another $100K for those tokens. If that could be 50, then maybe they could get 2 agents running all the time, or maybe it just reduces cost. So even though token per token pricing is going down, the usage, because the agents are running longer, is still through the roof. So the total dollars on tokens is still way up. Another argument on top of the sustainability one that you had there for why that'll be a persistent problem for folks.
Right.
Cool. Lou, appreciate you coming on. We all love your spirit. Keep it up. And best of luck in the competition. We're going to go make some tough decisions here. You guys make it hard for us.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Lou.
Thank you.
Peace.
And I forget, I don't think we mentioned it, but he's out of Charlotte region. Okay. Any feedback for the founders on pitches? Anything? So we had Utilist and Ham. Anything you guys think? So Carly, you kind of brought up, you kind of wanted to hear a little bit about go to market on Utilist. So that was good. Any other feedback for folks, Carly, on how they could improve their pitches?
I can't remember if this was Greg or Z, but someone bringing up the actual like dollars saved or what's happening and quantifying that. I think it would be good to see that. And I picked that up from one of your questions.
Yeah. I mean, I have this. Yeah, that was what I was trying to describe. When we talk on so many of these, creating the actual dollar value to make it easy to understand, right, and how to really kind of push and I would say the same thing for Lou. Like, I would quantify it, give them some massive metric that's credible, that makes sense. I think the first gentleman, in the age of AI, again, with all the noise and how hard it is to cut through it all, I do think that he needs to lean. He's got to work on some media training, is I guess my point, right? You're going to have to lean in as a founder and be the face of that brand. And then I will also try to figure out what are some adjacent kind of pathways down the road that he can kind of clearly kind of pivot to or expand into to create greater value for what he's trying to do. Because he'll be in a highly regulated kind of space.
Yeah. So Kia, any feedback for the founders?
Yes, from a pitching perspective specifically, I'm going to say start to keep a tally of the questions you typically get after you pitch, because there'll be opportunities for you to pitch where there won't necessarily be a Q&A at the end, but there will be, investors, potential customers there. And so start to keep a tally of the questions that you're getting. And if you start to notice the same questions over and over, try to figure out a way to incorporate that into your pitch, because obviously those are things that are vitally important and that people need to know. And so if founders can start thinking like that, refining that pitch, then I think it'll help as they continue on.
I have the benefit of seeing the two different. So they were in the Exceptional 8 and now the Fab 4. Both of them took the questions and they changed their pitch to reflect it. So they're actually following your advice. Yeah, like they they're not media masters, so it was a little hacked up in there. I don't know if you could tell or not. Like I noticed that Lou's hat changed.
They repeated.
Yeah, and then John repeated his intro kind of a couple times.
Yeah.
That was them making a very valiant effort to kind of like answer some of the questions that had come up from previous rounds. But yeah,
Scott, did you get any
constant iterative thing?
Oh, sorry about that. Did you get any in the earlier rounds? Any like of the TAM that they're going after at all?
Some of the folks
lead with any of that.
The TAM. Some folks asked about it.
Okay, but none of them are. Did any of them actually present that as what they're going after?
The overall feedback was so Utilist did a good job of explaining the problem and kind of stayed there. Ham, I think folks were initially confused about like what it was solving, and I think he injected a bit more about that piece he had where developers are using agents. That was relatively new, and I think he was trying to improve the stickiness of helping people understand the problem he's solving.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like super technical. It was like hierarchical. Ham stands for something. Hierarchical agent memory, I think is what it stands for.
Correct.
He was like going really deep into the optimization algorithm without like kind of, which is what tech founders, I'm a tech founder. You asked me how what time it is and I'll tell you how the clock works. So he kind of like elevated his message in the V2 there.
Yeah. I feel like with Ham, it would like him going into what's going to happen if you don't use his product, because like what stuck with me, because there weren't many slides or data, I was like $9.99. Like I get how you're going to get someone hooked, but how are you going to make enough money to keep scaling? And so I think that the answer he dug into at the end was really helpful. And even your advice, Scott, too, just how you can see how this is going to become a bigger problem.
Well, this is the hard part of being a venture capitalist. We have to pick. I'm going to go in the order we started in. So Carly, you have to pick between Ham and Utilist. What direction are you going? And the thought experiment here is you have a $25,000 and you can invest it in one of the companies. Which one would you put your money on, or Bull City's money? Theoretically,
it's really tough. I think I'm going with Utilist.
Okay. Awesome. Zakia, which way are you going to go?
You know, one of the things I've learned over the years is to bet with early stage is to bet on the jockey, not the horse, if you have to choose. And they both have really strong ideas, and I love the market opportunity for Utilist. I'm uncertain about some of the aspects of the business with Ham. I want more understanding, but I believe he's going to figure it out. He's that type of founder that I think will figure out. And so that being said, I think I'm going to go with Ham.
All right. So we have a tie, and this is why we have three
Greg.
judges. And Greg, it's on you. So walk us through a little bit of your thought process here, and then tell us what direction you're going.
I mean, I spent a lot of time in this stuff, being a part of not just the Tweener Fund, but angel investing. And I'm deeply into kind of AI and understanding it. I think I was asking about the addressable market because from a software engineer perspective, I put quotes, I have a computer science degree, but you're in a market in which between vibe coding tools and things, it's going to be a much larger market very soon, which means there's going to be significant inference costs, which means that is going to be I don't know if you caught what Scott was saying was very real. If you have a developer that you're paying $100K, people are actually saying they're willing to spend up to $5,000 to $10,000 in agent, in tokens a month to support that same developer to be 10x, right? So the economics are going to radically change with like Lovable and Base 44 and all these other things. So I just see a bigger addressable market and one that is not so highly regulated. The thing about, and I work with some energy companies and power companies, like it just seems very highly regulated. But I think that the inference cost saving, I'm going to go with Ham just to cut to the chase here, but it's because I see the TAM just being massive, right? If 70-80% of all budgets are going to AI related things, like it's just massive. And he has the personality to kind of, cut through the noise.
Yeah. So you like the Tam Ham or the ham
like
of
the Tam Ham.
It's kind of funny because my first company was what we would call DevTech, and I couldn't raise money because every VC was like, there's no addressable market. Like how many software developers are there in the world? And so it's not lost on me that we now live in a world where everyone realizes that that's the keys of the kingdom. It's hilarious. I was like 30 years too early, Greg. Anyway, well, thanks guys. That was a really hard decision. You can kind of see it came down to some tough choices there. And I think it's interesting, the addressable market does matter, right? Because you want to take, when you're betting early stage, you got to take big swings too. And that's part of this early stage is making sure that there's a venture scale return inside of here. Up next, round two.